to still state that we need that additional state.
We approved the last constitutional conference in 2014 under Justice Idris Kutigi, who recommended the creation of Adada State.
It's a renewed memorandum to the National Assembly for the creation of Aba State.
Of a people that have been marginalized.
The most important of all the approvals that we have gotten is that we have agreed today to give an additional state to the southeast to balance it 6 states per geopolitical zones, regardless of the northwest that have several zones. And we also set up another committee to look at modalities to create more states for the areas that need more states. These are the things that we have achieved today. So an additional state for southeast is a major achievement of this final retreat of the National Assembly Constitution Review Committee.
It's proper at this time that governance is moving to that level of creation of state for us now to agitate more for a Anambra state.
There were requests for creation of states, and the Senate is not in position to even make that proposition until requisite provisions of Section 8 are complied. And what are these provisions? One, the request for creation of state must be supported by 2/3 of elected representatives in the 2 chambers of the National Assembly and the House of Assembly from the areas from which the state is to be created. Secondly, the request must be supported by 2/3 referendum of people in the area from which the state is to be carved out. At the same time, even after the referendum, the people in that area must also agree. Then you are also talking of 2/3 resolution of the 2 chambers of the National Assembly.
Nigeria may be heading for one of its biggest political shakeups in decades. At a quiet retreat in Lagos, the Joint Committee of the National Assembly on Constitution Review made an announcement that set off a storm. In the spirit of fairness and equity, the Southeast deserves another state. For many Nigerians, those words sounded like a long-awaited justice. For others, they were déjà vu, other promises that may never leave the pages of a committee report. The Southeast, home to over 25 million people, remains the only geopolitical zone with 5 states, while others have 6 or 7. For years, that imbalance has meant less representation, less federal allocation, and less political weight in Abuja. But now, the government says it is ready to fix it. So the big question is Nigeria finally ready to give the Southeast its long-promised 6 states? Or is this just another political performance ahead of the 2027 election? If you're set, let's break it down. The Lagos retreat was chaired by Senator Barau Jibrin, the Deputy Senate President from Kalu, and Benjamin Kalu, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, and notably a son of the Southeast. 55 proposals were reviewed across Nigeria, from the north to the southwest. Dozens of groups demanded new states, but in the end, only one resolution was endorsed. The Southeast should get an additional state. That single decision carried weight: political, economical, and historical. For years, groups like Ohanes Zindibo have argued that the Nigerian Federation is structurally unjust. 5 states means fewer senators, fewer federal ministries, fewer votes in national decisions. So, on the surface, this move looks like correction and fairness. But behind the curtain, this is another layer, and it's quite timing. Why now is the big question. Why this sudden sympathy from a legislature dominated by the ruling APC? Analysts believe it is no coincidence. With 2027 election around the corner, the APC knows it must soften its image in the Southeast, a region that largely rejected Bola Tinubu in 2027. A new state means new elites, new appointments, and new political control. It is fairness, served with a dose of political strategy. The moment the announcement was made, a silent battle began within the Southeast itself. because everyone wants to host the new states. For years, proposals like Orlu State, Etiti States, Adada State, and Barau State have fought for recognition. Each has its own lobby group, history, and set of political godfathers. Orlu State would come from parts of Imo, Anambra, and Abia, backed by powerful figures like Senator Osita Izunaso. Etiti State is a reincarnation of an old 1980s proposal that once had military support. Adada State will carve out the Nsukka axis of Enugu, a dream that has been alive for decades. Barau State carries emotional weight, built on the region's economic pride and the spirit of enterprise. But the truth is, only one will make it. And that's where the real war begins. Governors will lobby, senators will negotiate, ethnic groups will clash. The question isn't just who deserves it, it is who controls it. Because a new state means a new capital, new federal allocations, new ministerial slots, and new political kings. So, while the headlines say fairness for the Southeast, the subtext says battle for territory. This is not just a dream. It is a political war designed as justice. Let's talk reality at this point in this video, because between a committee resolution and an actual new state lies a mountain of constitutional roadblocks. According to Section 8 of the 1999 Constitution, creating a new state is one of the hardest political tasks in Nigeria. And here is what must happen. 1. The proposal must originate from the people, supported by at least a two-thirds of the local government areas in the affected areas. 2. It must be approved by two-thirds of the members of the State House of Assembly and the National Assembly. 3. It must go through a referendum, meaning the people themselves must vote to create it. And finally, it must be approved by the President and gazetted into law. In Nigeria's entire history, no state has been created under the 1999 Constitution. All 36 states were created under military decrees, not democracy. So, can this new push truly survive democratic process? Or will it die quietly like the dozens of other proposals before it? Senator Osita Izunaso called it a major achievement. But in truth, it is still just a recommendation, a spark, not yet a flame. The Southeast may be celebrating too early, because between approval and creation lies the deep swamp of Nigerian politics, where good ideas go to die. If we zoom out, the entire drama starts to look like a chess game. Who gains the most if a new Southeast state is created? The people or the politicians? Look at the players. Benjamin Kalu, member of the APC, and the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives. He has built his brand as the bridge between Tinubu's government and the Igbo region. Championing the 6 states gives him a moral capital. It paints him as a hero of fairness. But politically, it also helps his party, the APC, penetrate the region. It is no secret that the APC wants to expand its grip ahead of the 2027 election. The Southeast voted overwhelmingly for the Labour Party in 2023, so offering a new state could be the ultimate political olive branch. It says, we heard you, we care, we are fixing it. But it also says, join us, we can give you what others never did. It is soft power politics, the art of turning long-term grievances into short-term loyalty, and history shows it works. From the state creation under Gowon to appointment under Obasanjo, Nigerian leaders have used inclusion as a tool of control. So, is the 6th state truly about equity? Or is it about silencing agitation and buying alliances? Because, once again, Nigeria stands at the familiar crossroads where justice meets manipulation. Let's be honest at this point in this video. The Southeast cry for fairness is justified, but timing, context, and politics makes this movement more complicated than ever. We're less than 2 years from the 2027 elections. President Tinubu's administration is struggling with economic backlash, ethnic mistrust, and declining popularity in several regions. A new state in the southeast changes the conversation. It signals reconciliation, inclusivity, and reform, at least on paper. But it also divides the southeast politically. Which governor will lose territory? Which ethnic bloc will gain? And which political party will dominate the new state? The region could either unite behind this long-awaited opportunity or tear itself apart, fighting for who gets the prize. And beyond all that lies one more uncomfortable question. Will a state finally give the Southeast a stronger voice, or simply add one more elite seat at a table that is already broken? And finally, for decades, Nigeria's leaders have masterminded the language of hope. They promise inclusion, they promise equity, they promise reform, and yet, time after time, those promises vanish in the corridor of power. So yes, the Southeast deserves its 6 states. That much is not in doubt. But what's at stake is why it is being offered. Who will it empower, and whether it will ever even happen at all? Because in Nigeria, fairness is never just fairness. It is currency, a bargaining chip, a political weapon designed as justice. So as the drum of celebration sounds across the Southeast, the real question remains: is this the dawn of equity, or just another performance in Nigeria's endless theater of promises? If you believe Nigeria's structure needs balance, drop your thoughts in the comments. Should the Southeast get its 6 states? Drop your thoughts in the comments as well. Or is this just another setup that will vanish after the election?